Hi, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Stock Market with a free Dow analysis for you for the New York trading session dated Monday 31st of January. I'm recording this video just 4:15 in the afternoon on Monday the 31st. New York hasn't quite closed yet. Just a quick look at an historical chart for a quick look at the big picture. Most Elliottians will be aware of this one. This is my main wave count, although I actually prefer my alternate slightly better. This main wave count has this high back in 2000 as the end of a 5-wave impulse with a label of a wave 5 cycle degree ending here, thereafter an A, B, C expanded flat correction unfolding to the downside. I expect that wave C at cycle degree was not over here, as if that was the case it would be a remarkably brief wave at cycle degree, far too brief. In relation to A and B, wave A lasted a Fibonacci 5 years, wave A lasted a Fibonacci 3 years, wave B lasted 5 years. If wave C takes the next Fibonacci number in the sequence, it will last 8 years, ending in the end of 2015. If it reaches 2.618 the length of A, because a cycle degree wave B was a deep 154% correction of A, which is longer than usual for a B of an expanded flat, but well within allowable limits of twice the length of A. That usually indicates that a C wave should be 2.618 the length of A, so it will end substantially beyond the end of A, and that target is 2,278 points in about October 2015. However, I'd slightly prefer this alternate wave count, but it has a minimum requirement for upwards movement. If this all-time high of the Dow, if this was the end of a 5-wave impulse structure with a cycle degree 5th wave ending here, thereafter it's likely that we have an A, B, C, some type of flat correction unfolding to the downside. This would only be wave A of it. I prefer this wave count slightly because this piece of downwards movement on the monthly chart has a slightly better look as a corrective wave count with an A, B and a long C in relation to A. Thereafter, so far we have an A, B, and we're working on the C wave to the upside at primary degree. Wave B of a flat correction must be at least 90% the length of wave A, so this alternate wave count has a minimum requirement for upwards movement of 13,425.3 points. And the upper end of a target zone allows for new all-time highs for the Dow, where wave B is 105% the length of A at 14,584.5 points, would be fairly likely. So if price gets up this high before we see a decent trend change, then this will be my main wave count. And the degree of labelling is slightly different. It's 1 degree higher, which also fits a little bit better with this recent movement. And the expectation of the next direction is exactly the same. So taking you now to my daily chart. And this is the end of this 5-wave structure to the upside for my main wave count labelled C at intermediate degree. And it's very likely, increasingly likely, that we have had a high here at 12,020. We've had some strong downwards movement since then, and prices move very, very comfortably outside of this small green channel that contains this 5th wave at pink degree. I've drawn this from 1 to 3, and instead of placing a parallel copy on the low of 2, I've placed it further down, and we have a 4th wave overshoot, which indicates a 5th wave overshoot in the opposite direction. With this strong downwards movement outside of the channel and only one more trading day, we may have a candlestick fully outside of this channel, and I'll consider that confirmation of a trend change. We'll have confirmation that the trend change was at primary degree when price moves below 10,720, as at that stage downwards movement could not be a 4th wave correction within this upwards impulse, and this impulse must therefore be complete. So that's what that confirmation point means. Taking you now to the hourly chart, where this high and this low is this high and this low, and this downwards movement has a fairly good 3-wave look, so that's another reason why I'm not going to quite call a high in place, and I still want to see price falling below that confirmation point to confirm a trend change for the Dow. Movement below 11,574 will finally confirm a trend change for the Dow, at least at minute degree, probably at primary degree as well. Until we see that, I'm not going to call a final high for the Dow, and I will allow for the possibility that this wave count would be invalidated and we could see higher highs. It just seems very unlikely at this stage. This downwards movement has a pretty good impulsive look. this upwards movement has a pretty typical corrective look. So just looking at wave behaviour, the expectation at this stage is that the trend has changed to down. Within this second wave correction, wave C is an ending contracting diagonal with a 1, 2, 3, 4 is shorter than 1, 4 is shorter than 2, 3 is shorter than 1, so 5 has a maximum limit to the upside at 11,907. This fifth wave at equidegree can't be longer than the third, because that would leave the third as the shortest. I have a target for upwards movement to end, and it may have ended just a couple of points above this and turned back down at 11,891, which would be in the middle of the 0.5 and the 0.618 ratios, just falling short of the 0.618, which would be a fairly typical place for a second wave to end. Thereafter, we should be seeing the resumption of downwards movement for the Dow, so before New York closes, it may turn trend right at the end of the session. It may turn just a little bit before and start some downwards movement. For the next New York session, I expect it's most likely to see the Dow falling below 11,736. When I have an end to wave 2 orange known, then I can calculate a target for the downside for wave 3 orange for you. We're not there yet though. So just going back to the daily chart, this is an important price point. Once we see price fall below that point, then we can reasonably confirm a trend change, because at that point it can't just be a second wave correction within wave 5 green. Wave 5 green would have had to have been over. And because there's such a very good Fibonacci ratio between this third wave at green degree and the first wave, I wouldn't want to put the labels for 3 and 4 green anywhere else. And there's also really good alternation here. Wave 2 green is the sharp zigzag, and this fourth wave at green degree is an expanded flat correction. So I expect this is the correct labelling on the daily chart here, and so that's an important price point. Once I see price fall below that point, 11,574, I'll have a lot more confidence in expecting that the trend is now down, and it's likely to stay down for quite some time, making new lows for the Dow. So it seems most likely that we've seen a trend change. However, it can't be confirmed. It seems most likely at this stage that we're going to see further downwards movement for the Dow. I expect the safest way for this to approach this analysis at this stage is to be patient and wait for the trend change to be confirmed before calling a high in place. That's all for me today with your Dow analysis, and I hope everyone else had an awesome weekend.